Hi, my name is Rohan Grover. Today I'll be talking about our paper, Encoding Privacy, Sociotechnical Dynamics of Data Protection Compliance Work. This paper is motivated by a need to understand the implications of data privacy laws that have been passed and implemented with increasing velocity since 2016. Two key examples are the General Data Protection Regulation in the European Union and the California Consumer Privacy Act. These two laws have played outsized roles in setting global standards for data privacy laws elsewhere. These standards have developed because both states and liable companies have adopted GDPR's and CCPA's principles as de facto regulatory approaches. It is therefore important to understand how companies and their workers have responded to GDPR and CCPA through compliance practices that are also likely to become increasingly standardized and globally widespread. Our approach builds on previous research that examines developer practices in general and privacy work in particular as a socio-technical process informed by developers' attitudes and experiences. Prior work has demonstrated that developers are delegated responsibility to interpret and design privacy frameworks so they effectively function as ethical agents by making decisions about privacy features. It follows then that developers' conceptualizations of privacy and their approaches to privacy work are important sites of analysis, not only in terms of their technical outputs, but also in how they find, interpret, and share information and best practices beyond their teams and organizations. Collectively, these studies have found that developers are often generally uncertain about how to tackle challenging privacy questions, and that they often rely on social networks, online forums, and institutional authorities. Studies have also demonstrated that how developers approach privacy work is important because their decisions shape privacy features, which in turn can carry material consequences for user outcomes, especially in terms of the effects of laws like the GDPR and CCPA. Overall, however, previous studies have not defined the specific responsibilities assigned to developers to comply with data protection regulations, or how they are situated within their organizational contexts. These dynamics are important because they can shape the extent to which regulations fulfill their intended goals, which is increasingly important as new data protection regulations are being passed or introduced around the world. This study addresses that gap by asking, how have developers shaped GDPR and CCPA when they were passed from the policy arena to technical teams for compliance? We pursue this question by examining developer practices as a socio-technical process informed by their attitudes and experiences and their organizational contexts. We focus on this process as our empirical object and call it data protection compliance work, the labor of translating data protection regulations from policy into code. We depart from prior research by exploring data protection compliance work as a collaborative process that includes not only developers, but also other diverse organizational actors. In the paper, we develop this broader category, and we call it data technicians to describe workers who operationalize the key processes of data collection, administration, management, design, and analysis. This includes developers as well as data analysts, designers, product managers, operations specialists, and others. This study was conducted through semi-structured interviews with 14 of such data technicians who have been responsible for GDPR and/or CCPA implementation. In the paper, we describe our methods in greater detail, including the various challenges and ethical questions that we encountered. But now I will move on to our findings. These are organized around 4 questions. The first question was, how do developers approach GDPR and CCPA compliance work? We found that developers often felt unprepared to fully and confidently interpret data privacy regulations. For example, one participant said, "We were in a mad dash to ultimately be able to say we're in compliance. That was and is in all my experiences the principal concern, being able to say we are compliant. I don't know that anybody I've encountered, and certainly not I, has a concrete grasp of exactly what that means." The second question was, how were developers' responsibilities situated within their organizational contexts? In general, we found that developers experienced high levels of autonomy and little oversight from other functional areas. This was particularly true for their relationships with legal departments. For example, one participant said, "Nobody wanted to talk to a lawyer to give us any understanding of the things we should do. It was something that felt like it was actively being avoided. So I don't know how close to compliance we were because I'm not a privacy expert and that was never what I was hired for." The third question was, how did developers make decisions about compliance work? Many participants described pursuing compliance with each data privacy law as a one-time project. Consequently, participants described finding bugs later on that could have been caught by conducting compliance audits. In addition, several participants felt ambivalent about ownership over compliance work because they felt reliant on networks of invisible actors beyond their organizations. For example, one participant conceded that I'm responsible for making sure the switch is there and that it calls the service somewhere when the user taps it. But beyond that, I have no idea what happens. Everybody on my team and my peers and colleagues, we're doing what we believe needs to be done by law, by intention, by principle, but without actually concrete assurance. The fourth question was, what are the lasting effects and attitudes about data protection regulations today? In this section, we describe ways in which software developers have creatively interpreted the mandate to implement the spirit of the law by enacting technical decisions that may be motivated not only to achieve regulatory compliance, but also to fulfill other goals, like advancing privacy as a human right or moving away from big tech platforms. Next, I will discuss the implications of these findings. One implication is that software developers possess a unique responsibility to define the spirit of the law. This phrase refers to the advice given to several developers about how to operationalize ambiguous components of data privacy laws. But what exactly is the spirit of the law? This uncertainty suggests that privacy operates as a boundary object, a concept whose ambiguous definition enables cross-functional actors to collaborate without actually agreeing upon a single definition. This ambiguity, combined with consistent yet non-specific expectations of developers' technical expertise, enables developers to shape the scope of data protection compliance work. A second implication is that developers can and should be understood not only as technical workers within companies, but also as so-called street-level bureaucrats of public policy. This complements internet governance research that has demonstrated how technology companies act as central points of control, especially through institutional factors, by highlighting the specific and unique role that developers play in shaping public policy. A third implication is that end users can play a key role in increasing accountability for data protection compliance work. Our findings suggest that increasing pressure from end users and making developers aware of that user interest may increase developers' motivations to reconceptualize data protection compliance work as a continuous priority and to return to and improve data protection features. This urgency and pressure from end users could also contribute to persuading developers that data protection compliance work is valuable not only to achieve regulatory compliance, but also to meet users' needs and expectations. This points to an opportunity for further research to understand how and why developers anticipate user feedback about data privacy and how they respond to such feedback. This study has expanded upon prior research by describing developers' unique capacities to shape data privacy laws in the implementation stage. We've highlighted the central role that developers play as mediators whose attitudes and experiences carry implications for data protection regulations in the field. More broadly, these findings demonstrate the importance of studying data protection compliance work itself as a socio-technical phenomenon, which includes unpacking expectations of developer expertise and boundary work across fields, and imagining alternative promises for data protection and digital privacy laws. Further research connecting attitudes to technical outcomes that materially affect users' privacy experiences online will help clarify how developers play a highly impactful co-regulatory role in shaping the effects of data privacy laws now and in the future. Thank you for listening.